Video by CBS News. Santa Rosa, Calif, Northern California officials ordered a new round of mandatory evacuations overnight for parts of the Sonoma Valley and eastern Santa Rosaas as gusting winds returned, reviving dangerous fire conditions in a region that has been devastated by ongoing blazes since last week. The National Weather Service warned Friday night that strong winds were expected throughout northern California, with gusts of 35 to 45 miles per hour, putting much of the region under a red flag warning. If any new fires start, they could spread extremely rapidly, the NWS said. Dangerous winds and extremely dry fuels on the ground also could cause problems with the current wildfires and the firefighters trying to suppress them, the NWS noted. Late Friday, the Sonoma County Sheriffs Office recommended that residents in eastern Sonoma Valley be prepared to leave because of a blaze in the area, dubbed the Nuns Fire, that was only 10% contained. Shortly after 2 a.m. local time Saturday, the order was upgraded to a mandatory evacuation with repeated notices underscoring the heightened urgency. Subscribe to the Postmost newsletter. Today's most popular stories on the Washington Post. If you live in the areas below, leave now, Sonoma County officials wrote Saturday. The evacuation order affected thousands of residents, as the Nuns Fire remained a big, unwieldy beast, a fire spokesman told KQED News. In neighboring Napa County, to the east, officials said Saturday morning that they did not expect any new evacuations but cautioned residents to remain vigilant because of significant wind activity. Sonoma County has had a very tough morning with the winds that have surfaced over there. We're not out of the woods and have work to do, Napa County Fire Chief Barry Bierman said at a news conference Saturday morning. But on our side of it, off of the Highway 29 area, we have pockets that are burning down into Dry Creek. In pictures, California Wine Country Wildfires slideshow by Photoservice 7 as several fires still burn across hundreds of acres in the California wine country. The horrific scale of death and destruction is coming into focus. At least 37 people have been confirmed dead in 4 counties, many of them elderly, some burned to ashes. One victim was 14 years old. The Mendocino County Sheriff's Office revised its death toll late Friday, from 9 fatalities to 8. Taken together, the disastrous blazes, more than 20 in all since Sunday, including at least 6 in Sonoma County, have killed more people than any other California wildfire on record. The death toll is certain to rise as authorities, some accompanied by cadaver dogs, continue to explore the wreckage. Hundreds are still missing. Statewide, an estimated 5,700 structures have been destroyed, including whole neighborhoods reduced to smoldering rubble. About 90,000 people have been displaced by the fires, officials said Friday. It's devastating. I've only driven maybe 5% of the fire area. I don't even think I understand what the damage toll is going to be. And I have a better handle on it than most, Sonoma County Sheriff Rob Giordano told the Los Angeles Times. Santa Rosa will be a different planet. There is so much to rebuild. It will absolutely change the community. Firefighter Chris Oliver walks between grapevines as a helicopter drops water over a wildfire burning near a winery Saturday, October 14, 2017, in Santa Rosa, Calif. Fire crews made progress this week in their efforts to contain the massive wildfires in California wine country, but officials say strong winds are putting their work to the test. Sonoma County, north of San Francisco, suffered the most damage, with 20 people confirmed dead and 223 still reported missing. The fires have destroyed nearly 3,000 homes and caused $1.2 billion in damage in Santa Rosa, the county seat and gateway to the wine tourism industry. In Napa County, there were 6 confirmed fatalities as of Saturday afternoon. 74 people remain unaccounted for. Out of the more than 200 reported missing over the past week, firefighters have made some significant gains. As of Saturday morning, some of the deadliest fires in Sonoma and Napa counties were nearly 50% contained, according to the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. Bierman, the Napa County Fire Chief, said firefighting efforts Saturday would be focused on maintaining perimeter lines to keep existing blazes contained, even as they continued to burn. As blazes are extinguished, counties have been preparing to let people return to evacuated areas. My commitment and top priority remains to bring back normalcy to this community, Cal Fire Deputy Chief Britt Gouveia said Saturday. The causes of the fires remained under investigation. He added, a search and rescue team looks for bodies at property where a person was reported missing in Santa Rosa. Giordano said Friday deputies had begun the task of searching for the missing and the dead, with bodies showing up in a variety of conditions. We have recovered people where their bodies are intact, he said, and we have recovered people where there's just ash and bone. The majority of the victims who have been identified were elderly, except for one, a 14-year-old who was found near his family's home in Mendocino County. Kai Logan Shepard was running away from the fire when he was killed, according to the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office. Of the 10 Sonoma County victims who have been named so far, 2 of whom were identified through medical devices or implants, 2 through dental records and another by a distinctive tattoo, while others were matched with fingerprints or visuals and other investigative means. Most were from Santa Rosa, and all were older adults, with an average age of 75. The sheriff's office said. The youngest, Michael John Dornbach, was 57. The oldest, Arthur Tasman Grant, was 95. In neighboring Napa County, an elderly couple who had just celebrated their 75th wedding anniversary were killed on Sunday. Another elderly couple in their 80s were also killed in Mendocino County. Sonoma County spokesman Scott Alonso said it's not yet clear why the victims were unable to escape the fire, but, he said, folks who are elderly have some mobility challenges and are wheelchair-bound. They may not have access to a car. We had calls right when the fires were going on. Folks needed rides. They needed rides to get out of those mandatory evacuation zones. Of 485 missing person reports in Sonoma County, 250 had been found safe by Friday afternoon, said Giordano, the sheriff. The whereabouts of the 235 missing were still unknown, although it is possible that a number of them were found but not yet reported to authorities. Others may be out of touch because of power outages and down cell towers. In most cases, people were removed from a missing persons list after authorities received calls from families saying they've been found. As the week progressed, authorities began facing questions about the cause of the most damaging blaze in Sonoma, and whether they did enough to warn vulnerable residents as the flames edged closer to populated areas. The scrutiny marks the next phase of a disaster that erupted seemingly out of nowhere Sunday night, prompting panic among residents who had no idea that a fire was bearing down on them. An emergency workers who said they were stunned at the speed with which the fire progressed. In Sonoma County, law enforcement officials said they used a reverse 911 system to call residents' landlines to evacuate. The county also sent out alerts through a voluntary text message system. As of June, however, just 500 of the county's 500,000 residents had signed up for the alerts. Alonso, the county spokesman, said officials chose to not send out a county-wide alert to cell phones out of fear such a message would incite panic and clog roadways. We wanted to target specific neighborhoods that were under fire, he said. If an all-county emergency evacuation was issued, the roads would have been jammed, and our emergency responders would have had difficulty getting to where they need to go to evacuate people. On Friday, The Sonoma County Sheriff's Office released body camera footage showing a deputy frantically driving door-to-door in Santa Rosa early Monday morning as flames closed in on the neighborhood. Panting and coughing, the deputy can be heard seen running throughout heavy smoke and flying embers trying to notify residents. At one point, he and another person help evacuate a disabled woman. Sonoma County Sheriff's Office. This is a mandatory evacuation notice. The deputy blares through a loudspeaker as he drives through a street flanked by fire. Leave your homes. Days later, Santa Rosa residents would be sifting through the ashes of what used to be their homes or stood shocked to discover their houses had somehow survived. In downtown Santa Rosa on Saturday, about 150 residents waited in line to enter a local assistance center where they could register with FEMA for disaster relief. As volunteers passed out sandwiches and ash floated through the air, some displaced residents highlighted a silver lining in their devastating losses. They knew their homes had burned. While there are still thousands who live in evacuation zones and don't know whether their homes are still standing, it's probably harder to not know than to know, said Steve Vella, who lived in the Coffee Park area, the majority of which burned early Monday. I told my husband it's a relief that we know our fate, added Corinne Rasmussen, a 54-year-old administrative assistant who had lived in the Larkfield area. She and her husband are currently staying with her sister in Rohnert Park while trying to figure out their next move. A FEMA representative outside the assistance center said that the agency didn't yet know whether it would be constructing temporary housing for those who have been displaced. Their priority was to determine how much and what kind of assistance would be needed. Right now we want to get disaster survivors registered, said FEMA spokesman Victor Inge. A block away from the local assistance center, a poster summed up the local mood. The love in the air is thicker than smoke. California Gov. Jerry Brown, D. and U.S. Sens. Dianne Feinstein, D. and Kamala D. Harris, D. visited the disaster zone in Sonoma County on Saturday afternoon. At a town hall, they said the fire's aftermath was nothing like anything they had seen before. This community has endured such incredible loss and pain, Harris said. Please take advantage of all the resources that are available to you. It's going to be a long road ahead. Wong reported from Washington. Christine Phillips, Herman Wong, Josh Delac, Abigail Hauslohner and Aaron C. Davis in Washington contributed to this report. Read more. We saw the glow of fire in the distance. 4 hours later, it was at our front door. Wildfires sweep across the face of the California wine industry. We've got to go. A California couple awoke to flames crackling. They couldn't flee, so they jumped in their pool.